First contact fiasco. Dr. Zena Blackwood had always imagined first contact would be more dignified. Maybe something involving formal delegations, carefully rehearsed speeches, and definitely not her 9th cup of coffee at 3:47 a.m. Earth Standard Time. Yet here she was, in First Contact Station Epsilon, watching her hands tremble with caffeine jitters while trying to make herself presentable for a meeting that could determine humanity's place in the galactic community. Dr. Arya, the station's AI, chimed in with artificial cheerfulness that felt like sandpaper on Zena's sleep-deprived nerves. The Curie delegation will dock in approximately 15 minutes. Can't we reschedule? Zena mumbled into her coffee cup. Tell them I'm doing important xenobiological research. May I remind you that you specifically requested to be present for their arrival? Arya's tone carried a hint of amusement. Something about not letting, and I quote, those stuck-up bureaucrats from xenodiplomacy mess up another first contact. Zena groaned, remembering her caffeinated bravado from yesterday's staff meeting. Fine. But I'm bringing my coffee. The Curie ship docked with all the grace one would expect from a civilization that had mastered faster-than-light travel millennia ago. Their vessel looked like a piece of abstract art, all sweeping curves and impossible angles that seemed to bend light around them. As the airlock cycled, Zena straightened her wrinkled lab coat and tried to smooth down her unruly black hair, making a valiant attempt to look like a responsible representative of humanity. The aliens that emerged were nothing short of magnificent. Crystalline beings that seemed to be carved from living diamond, their bodies refracting light in prismatic cascades. Each movement produced a subtle chiming sound like wine through crystal wind chimes. They were, in a word, majestic. Which made what happened next so much worse. The lead Curie, its perfectly geometric arrangement of crystalline facets catching the station's lights in rainbow patterns, stepped forward with deliberate grace. It raised what appeared to be an appendage in formal greeting and began to speak, its voice a melodious combination of chimes and resonant tones. Esteemed human representative, the universal translator rendered in a stilted monotone that completely failed to capture the musical quality of their speech, we come before you as observers of the Grand Galactic Council to assess Earth's civilization and its readiness to join the greater community of spacefaring species. We have studied your transmissions, N. That's when it happened. Maybe it was the sleep deprivation. Maybe it was the coffee. Maybe it was the absurd contrast between the Curie's majestic appearance and the flat robot voice coming from the translator. Whatever the cause, Zena snorted. The snort turned into a giggle. The giggle evolved into a full-blown, sleep-deprived, caffeine-fueled laughing fit. The Curie delegation recoiled in what appeared to be horror, their crystalline forms vibrating at frequencies that set off several of the station's warning sensors. The human, one of them chimed in alarm. It's displaying dominant vocal aggression while maintaining direct optical contact. Such confidence. To show aggression during a formal introduction, another resonated. Zena tried to stop laughing. She really did. But their reaction only made it worse. Tears were streaming down her face now, and she had to lean against the wall for support. The lead Curie's crystal structure shifted into what their cultural briefing would later identify as a defensive resonance pattern. We were not informed that humans would demonstrate their superior status so immediately. I'm not, Zena gasped between laughs, I'm not demonstrating anything. Another fit of giggles overtook her. The Curie huddled together, their chimes taking on what even Zena's sleep-deprived brain recognized as worried tones. The human shows no fear, one whispered to another, the translator barely picking it up. It must be very confident in its species' power. Should we offer tribute now? Another chimed quietly. Wait, Zena managed, finally getting her laughter under control. This is all a misunder, she was cut off by a hiccup, which caused the entire delegation to flinch in unison. It's deploying sonic attacks while attempting peaceful communication, the lead Curie observed with something approaching awe. Such casual display of dominance. We must inform the council immediately. As the delegation made a hasty retreat to their ship, chiming in what Zena was pretty sure was panic, she slid down the wall to sit on the floor. Her coffee cup, somehow still intact, sat next to her. "Doctor," Arya commented after a moment of silence, "I believe that could have gone better." "Better?" Zena looked at her coffee cup, then at the rapidly departing Kiri ship. "I need more coffee." "I believe that might be part of the problem, Doctor." "Shut up and start the coffee maker." In her office aboard the station, Commander Sarah Chen was already getting the first reports of the incident. She stared at the holographic display, watching as the Kiri ship accelerated away from the station at speeds that suggested they couldn't get away fast enough. "Let me get this straight," she said to Arya's hovering interface. Dr. Blackwood laughed at them. "To be precise, Commander, Dr. Blackwood experienced an extended episode of uncontrolled mirth that the Kiri interpreted as a demonstration of species dominance." Chen pinched the bridge of her nose. "And there now. Reporting to the Galactic Council that humanity is a previously unknown apex predator species capable of deploying sonic warfare techniques while maintaining direct eye contact, yes. Wonderful." Chen reached for her own coffee, then thought better of it. "Get me a secure line to Earth Command. And find out if anyone's ever laughed their way into an interstellar incident before. Searching historical databases now, Commander. Though I suspect this may be a first." As Chen prepared to explain to her superiors how humanity's first official contact with the Galactic Council had gone spectacularly wrong because of sleep deprivation and caffeine, she couldn't help but wonder if maybe they should have sent the diplomats after all. But then again, given how the Kiri had reacted to laughter, maybe it was better they found out about human quirks this way rather than during formal negotiations. At least this way, they could blame it on coffee. The Galactic Council's concerns. The Galactic Council's emergency session was not going well. Commander Sarah Chen watched through the quantum entanglement communicator as various alien species argued about the human situation. The Council Chamber, a vast virtual space filled with representatives from thousands of civilizations, buzzed with nervous energy. High Counselor Vixna, a being composed entirely of shifting geometric patterns of pure energy, called for order. "We have reviewed the Kiri delegation's report regarding their encounter with the humans. The findings are disturbing." Chen fought the urge to roll her eyes. Next to her, Dr. Blackwood sat uncharacteristically quiet, though that might have had more to do with Commander Chen confiscating her coffee than any sense of diplomatic propriety. "Most concerning," continued a Xylaxian representative, their tentacles writhing in agitation, "is their apparent immunity to chemical warfare agents. Our analysis shows they willingly consume a powerful stimulant extracted from roasted seeds." "Coffee," Zena muttered. "They're talking about coffee. Which you are not getting back until this is resolved," Chen whispered. The Xylaxian continued, "They use this substance to extend their natural endurance, enabling them to remain active far beyond normal biological limits. Some specimens have been observed consuming this chemical continuously for days." A collective shudder ran through the council chamber. "That's not even the most alarming discovery," added another representative, this one a crystalline being similar to the Kiri. "We've analyzed their entertainment broadcasts. These humans, they simulate death for amusement." "Movies," Chen groaned. "They're talking about movies. And they're young," exclaimed a gaseous entity, its colors shifting rapidly in distress. "They engage in recreational activities that involve hurling their bodies down frozen mountains attached to primitive sliding devices." "Skiing," Zena supplied helpfully. "It's just skiing." Silence. The High Counselor's form pulsed with authority. "We must address the most concerning discovery. Humans keep apex predators in their dwellings. They allow these creatures to sleep in their resting places, even permitting their young to interact with them." As if on cue, Lieutenant Rodriguez's cat, Mr. Whiskers, chose that moment to saunter into view of the quantum communicator. The council erupted into chaos. "By the eternal void. One of their battle beasts approaches their leaders even now. Mr. Whiskers, unimpressed by the panic he was causing among the galaxy's most powerful beings, proceeded to do what cats do best. He jumped onto Commander Chen's desk, knocked over a stack of datapads, and began grooming himself. The creature displays total dominance over its environment, someone shrieked. And the humans show no concern. Chen watched as Mr. Whiskers finished his grooming and curled up for a nap right in front of the communicator. "Counselors, if I may explain." "There's more," interrupted a new voice. A holographic display materialized in the center of the council chamber, showing footage from Earth. They gather in large groups to observe ritualized combat between their strongest warriors. The display showed a football game. Look how they celebrate their champions' victories. Such bloodthirst. It was a touchdown dance. Zena leaned over to Chen. "Should we tell them about hockey?" "Not helping, Doctor." The council's deliberations continued for hours. Every aspect of human behavior seemed to terrify them more than the last. Their ability to eat spicy food was interpreted as advanced chemical resistance. Their tendency to laugh in the face of danger, or, in Zena's case, just laugh inappropriately, was seen as a sign of psychological warfare capabilities. Finally, High Counselor Vixna spoke again. "It is the decision of this council that humanity must be classified as a Class X civilization." "What exactly does that mean?" Chen asked, dreading the answer. "It means," the High Counselor's form flickered with what might have been respect, or possibly fear, "that your species is considered too unpredictable and potentially dangerous for normal diplomatic relations. A containment protocol would be advised." "Now wait just a minute." Chen started to protest, but she was interrupted by a commotion in the council chamber. A new delegation had arrived, the Arxer, a species known for their military prowess. "We oppose containment," the Arxer representative announced. "The humans are clearly a warrior species of great potential. We propose an alliance." "Absolutely not," countered another species. "If the humans ally with the Arxer, they'll be unstoppable." The chamber erupted into arguments again. Some species wanted to contain humanity, others wanted to ally with them, and a few suggested studying them from a safe distance, preferably several galaxies away. Chen turned to Zena. "This is officially your fault." "My fault? How was I supposed to know that laughing would cause an interstellar incident?" "You're a xenobiologist. Isn't this exactly the kind of thing you're supposed to know?" "Oh, I'm sorry, did your diplomatic briefing include a section on how different species might interpret sleep-deprived giggling?" Their argument was interrupted by a new alert. Lieutenant Rodriguez appeared on a separate screen, looking worried. "Commander, we have a situation. The station's weekly movie night, someone picked Alien for tonight's showing." Chen closed her eyes and counted to 10. "Please tell me none of our guests have seen it." "Well. The humans create entertainment about successfully fighting apex predator species," a new voice shrieked in the council chamber. "They imagine scenarios where they triumph over superior life forms. For fun," added another, horrified voice. "Actually," Zena couldn't help interjecting, "that's not even our scariest movie. You should see The Thing, it's about a shape-shifting alien that." Chen slapped a hand over Zena's mouth. "Not helping." The council chamber had devolved into complete chaos. The Arxer were now openly advocating for an immediate military alliance with Earth. Several species were demanding the creation of a buffer zone between human space and the rest of the galaxy. The Curie delegation was still traumatized from their encounter with Zena and had begun composing what appeared to be epic poetry about the terrifying human ability to bare their teeth in aggression, smile, while maintaining eye contact. "Commander," Arya's voice cut through the chaos, "I feel I should inform you that the station's cafeteria just received its monthly shipment of hot sauce. So, several of our guests are in the cafeteria watching Dr. Martinez demonstrate the human ability to voluntarily consume capsaicin." Chen looked at the chaos in the council chamber, then at Mr. Whiskers sleeping peacefully in front of the communicator, then at Zena who was clearly going through coffee withdrawal. You know what? Let them watch. At this point, we might as well lean into our reputation. Commander? Zena asked hopefully. Does this mean I can have my coffee back? No. Diplomatic escalation. 3 weeks after the infamous, laughing incident, First Contact Station Epsilon had become the galaxy's most popular anthropological research site. Alien scientists from dozens of species crowded the observation decks, meticulously documenting every aspect of human behavior. To Dr. Zena Blackwood's increasing frustration, her every move was being analyzed, categorized, and probably written up in at least 3 doctoral theses. "They're watching me drink coffee again," she muttered to Commander Chen during their morning briefing. A group of Xylaxian researchers hovering outside the office window quickly pretended to be studying something else. "At least they're not calling it chemical warfare anymore," Chen replied, reviewing reports on her holoscreen. "Now they're classifying it as voluntary nervous system enhancement. Somehow that's worse. Did you see their latest paper? Human Resilience, a study in evolutionary advantages of sleep deprivation and caffeine consumption. They're treating my insomnia like it's a superpower." The station's AI, Arya, chimed in. "Actually, Doctor, your latest biological readings have been quite popular among the xenoscience community. The Arxer Military Academy has requested permission to include your coffee consumption patterns in their advanced survival training curriculum." Zena dropped her head onto the desk with a thud. A dozen alien researchers immediately began taking notes on this new behavior. "Commander," Lieutenant Rodriguez's voice came over the intercom, "we have another situation. The Galactic University of Xenoanthropology is requesting permission to study our recreational activities. They're particularly interested in something they're calling human dominance rituals." "They mean the station's game night, don't they?" Chen asked, already knowing the answer. "Yes, ma'am. They seem especially interested in something called Mario Kart." Chen pinched the bridge of her nose, a gesture that the alien researchers had begun referring to in their papers as the Human Stress Management Technique number 47. "Fine. But no recording devices, and someone needs to explain to them that blue shells aren't actually weapons of mass destruction." The situation only got more complicated that afternoon when the station received an urgent transmission from Earth Command. Admiral Zhang's hologram appeared in Chen's office, looking both amused and concerned. "Commander, we've been monitoring the various scientific papers being published about human behavior. The galactic academic community seems to think we're some kind of super predator species." "Sir, I can explain." "No need, Commander. Actually, this might work in our favor. The Arxer Coalition has offered Earth membership in their military alliance. The Kiri are sending us tribute. And 3 different species have offered us technology trades in exchange for what they're calling human survival techniques." Zena, who had been trying to enjoy her coffee in peace despite the small crowd of alien observers outside the window, perked up. "What kind of technology?" "FTL drive improvements, energy production systems, and something called psychic dampeners which they think will need to control our overwhelming psychological warfare capabilities." "They mean laughter, don't they?" Chen asked. "Among other things. Apparently, someone showed them videos of human children playing peekaboo. They think we're training our young in stealth tactics from infancy." Just then, Arya interrupted with another alert. "Commander, the Xylaxian research team is requesting emergency assistance. They've discovered Lieutenant Kelly's collection of horror movies." Chen closed her eyes. "Please tell me they haven't watched any." "They're halfway through Jurassic Park. They seem particularly disturbed by the concept that humans would consider recreating apex predators for entertainment. To be fair," Zena pointed out, "that is pretty messed up even by our standards." Admiral Zhang's hologram flickered as he tried to suppress a smile. Commander, Earth Command has decided to lean into this situation. We're officially classifying all information about human biology, culture, and behavior as strategically significant. Sir. If they want to think we're space orcs, let them. It's already gotten us better trade deals than a decade of traditional diplomacy. The conversation was interrupted by another urgent alert from Lieutenant Rodriguez. Commander. The ARCSR delegation is here for their scheduled observation of human recreational activities, but there's been a mix-up with the entertainment schedule. What kind of mix-up? Instead of the approved documentary about human space exploration, they're being shown, cat videos. There was a moment of silence. How are they taking it? Chen asked, dreading the answer. They're impressed. Very impressed. They think we've managed to miniaturize apex predators for urban warfare. One of their military attaches just requested 1,000 kittens for their Special Forces program. Admiral Zhang's hologram was now openly grinning. See what I mean, Commander? Roll with it. Earth Command out. His image disappeared, leaving Chen staring at her increasingly bizarre daily schedule. Doctor, she said to Zena, how do you feel about giving a lecture on human pain tolerance to the Galactic University? You mean my hot sauce collection? Among other things. Apparently, the fact that we can eat spicy food has convinced several species that we have advanced chemical warfare resistance. Before Zena could respond, Arya interrupted again. Commander, the Kiri Diplomatic Corps has sent another gift basket. This one appears to contain several rare minerals and what they're calling sonic dampeners to protect against human laughter. Put it with the others, Chen sighed. The station's storage bay was already filling up with tribute from various species trying to stay on humanity's good side. And someone please explain to the Xylaxian researchers that yoga isn't actually a form of battle meditation. Too late, Zena said, looking at her tablet. They've already published a paper, Human Flexibility, the Evolution of Close-Quarter Combat Techniques Disguised as Wellness Rituals. Of course they have. Chen pulled up her schedule for the rest of the week. What's next? The ARCSR military observers want to study human reaction times. They're particularly interested in something called first-person shooter games. No. The Kiri anthropologists have questions about human facial expressions. Apparently, they think smiling is a show of dominance. It isn't. And the Galactic University wants to know if they can study human sleep patterns. They're fascinated by the concept of power naps. Chen looked at her coffee, then at the growing crowd of alien researchers outside her office, then at the tribute piling up in the station's storage bay. You know what? Let them study whatever they want. But someone needs to explain to the ARCSR that they can't actually weaponize kittens. About that, Arya chimed in, their military research division has already drafted preliminary plans for what they're calling Operation Whiskers. Somewhere in the station, a cat meowed. 3 different alien species immediately took cover. Just another day in human diplomacy, Chen muttered, reaching for her coffee. Outside her window, a dozen alien researchers began frantically taking notes on proper coffee drinking technique. Cultural confusion. 1 month into what Earth's media had dubbed the Misunderstanding Initiative, First Contact Station Epsilon was hosting its first official Galactic Cultural Exchange Conference. Commander Sarah Chen stood at the podium, addressing a room full of alien diplomats, scientists, and military observers, trying not to think about how every sneeze would probably be analyzed as a biological warfare technique. Welcome to the first annual Human Cultural Understanding Summit, she began, carefully maintaining what the Kiri had termed aggressive eye contact with her audience. We're here to promote better understanding between. She was interrupted by gasps as Dr. Zena Blackwood entered the conference room, carrying her signature coffee mug and accompanied by Mr. Whiskers, who had apparently decided that a gathering of the galaxy's most important beings was the perfect place for a nap. The human brings both chemical stimulants and a battle beast to diplomatic proceedings, whispered an ARCSR delegate, clearly impressed. Such a power move. Chen shot Zena a look that clearly said, "We will discuss this later." Zena responded with what the Curie's latest research paper had termed the human dominance gesture of shoulder elevation in depression, a shrug. "As I was saying," Chen continued, "today's schedule includes presentations on various aspects of human culture, starting with—" "Commander," Arya interrupted, "we have a situation in Recreation Module 3. "What now?" "The Xylaxian research team accidentally accessed Lieutenant Rodriguez's video game collection. They're currently watching him play something called Dark Souls." A murmur ran through the assembled aliens as several of them quickly accessed the station's surveillance feeds. "The human deliberately subjects itself to repeated failure scenarios," one researcher exclaimed. "Such psychological resilience. Look. It continues to attack despite dying 47 times. The sheer determination. Actually," Rodriguez's voice came over the intercom, "I just really want to beat this boss." It refers to its opponent as boss, clearly indicating a hierarchical combat structure. Fascinating. Chen closed her eyes and counted to 10, a technique that alien researchers had recently classified as advanced meditation for battle preparation. When she opened them, she found Dr. Elax, the head of the Galactic University's Department of Human Studies, hovering expectantly nearby. "Commander," the gaseous being pulsed with excitement, "we've made some remarkable discoveries about human recreational activities that we'd like to present to the conference." "Very well," Chen sighed, yielding the podium. Elax's form expanded enthusiastically as holographic displays materialized around the room. "Our research team has identified several crucial aspects of human behavior that were previously unknown to the galactic community. First, observe this ritual they call karaoke." The displays showed footage from the station's last crew party. Several humans were enthusiastically butchering "Don't Stop Believin'" while others cheered them on. As you can see, humans regularly engage in sonic endurance training, both as performers and observers. Note how the audience shows no sign of distress despite clear acoustic assault. "That's not," Chen started to explain, but was interrupted by excited murmuring from the crowd. "Even more fascinating," Elax continued, "is this activity they call dancing." The display shifted to show the same party later in the evening. Humans deliberately subject themselves to rhythmic physical exertion, often while continuing to consume their chemical stimulants. "We believe this builds their legendary endurance." "It's just having fun," Zena muttered into her coffee cup. 3 different species took notes on her casual dismissal of extreme physical conditioning. The presentation continued, with every normal human activity being reinterpreted as either combat training, endurance building, or psychological warfare. Card games were classified as strategic combat simulation. Table tennis became high-speed reflexive warfare training. Someone's yoga session was analyzed as preparation for zero-gravity combat. Things really got out of hand when Elax reached the section on human eating habits. Most remarkably, the researchers' gases swirled with excitement. Humans regularly engage in competitive consumption of toxic substances. The displays showed footage from the station's last hot wing eating contest. They actively seek out chemical irritants, competing to endure the highest levels of oral combustive agents. "Our analysis suggests this is how they train their legendary chemical warfare resistance." In the back of the room, Dr. Martinez, who had won the contest, slouched lower in his seat as several ARCSR military observers regarded him with newfound respect. Furthermore, Elax continued, "Humans regularly consume a substance they call ice cream at temperatures that would cause cellular damage in most species. They give this frozen chemical weapon to their young. Clearly, this is how they build cold resistance from an early age. Has anyone tried explaining that we just like how it tastes?" Zena whispered to Chen. "Would you believe that explanation if you were them?" Fair point. The presentation reached its climax with what Elax called the most disturbing discovery yet. Humans, the researcher pulsed dramatically, deliberately deprive themselves of consciousness for approximately 1/3 of their day. You mean sleep? Chen asked. They enter a state of voluntary vulnerability, seemingly defenseless. But our research suggests this is actually when they are most dangerous. Observe their brain activity during this period. The displays showed EEG readings from various crew members. Their minds remain active. They experience vivid hallucinations they call dreams. We believe this is how they conduct psychological battle simulations. Even in their rest state, they are preparing for combat. The conference room erupted in excited discussion. The Arxer delegation was frantically taking notes. The Curie representatives were vibrating in harmony with what their cultural databanks identified as respectful terror. Commander, Arya interrupted again, we have another situation. Of course we do. Someone showed the Xylaxian researchers a human infant. And they're particularly disturbed by its ability to grab things and put them in its mouth. They think human young can instinctively identify and consume potential chemical and biological agents for future resistance building. Chen looked at the chaos in the conference room, then at Zena, who was trying to explain to a group of fascinated aliens that yawning wasn't actually a dominance display, then at Mr. Whiskers, who had chosen this moment to start batting at a Curie delegate's crystalline appendages. You know what? She said to no one in particular, maybe it's better this way. Has anyone checked how our trade negotiations are going? Actually, Arya replied, we've received 17 new technology exchange offers just during this presentation. The Arxer are particularly interested in trading their latest battleship designs for what they're calling the secrets of human endurance training. You mean coffee? And energy drinks? Apparently, someone showed them a human drinking Red Bull. Should we tell them the truth? They watched as Elax excitedly presented evidence that human sneezing was actually a sophisticated bioweapon delivery system. Maybe later, Chen decided. Much later. The grand revelation. 2 months after the Cultural Exchange Conference, First Contact Station Epsilon was preparing for its biggest event yet, the Galactic Council's official assessment of humanity's status in the interstellar community. Commander Sarah Chen stood in her office, reviewing the final preparations while Dr. Zena Blackwood paced nervously, on her strictly rationed third cup of coffee of the day. Remind me again why we're still playing into their misconceptions. Zena asked, watching a group of Arxer military observers studying the station's gym through reinforced windows. They were taking detailed notes on what they called human strength enhancement rituals, basic workout routines. Because, Chen replied, checking the latest diplomatic reports, in the past 2 months, we've received more advanced technology trades than Earth made in the previous decade of traditional negotiations. The Curie just offered us their quantum computing designs in exchange for what they think is our sonic warfare training program. You mean karaoke night? Exactly. And the Arxer Coalition wants to trade their latest fusion drive technology for our chemical resistance training techniques. Hot sauce. They want hot sauce. Among other things. Apparently, someone showed them wasabi. Their conversation was interrupted by Arya's urgent chime. Commander, we have a situation in the diplomatic quarter. The Xylaxian research team has discovered Internet cat videos. Chen closed her eyes. How bad is it? They're convinced humans have developed a galaxy-wide psychological warfare network dedicated to sharing tactical information about our combat beast training programs. To be fair, Zena pointed out, cat videos have probably conquered more hours of productivity than any actual military campaign. Before Chen could respond, Lieutenant Rodriguez burst into the office. Commander. The Galactic Council representatives are arriving early. And we have a problem. What now? Remember how we were supposed to have a formal diplomatic reception? Well, there's been a mix-up with the recreation schedule. The station's weekly game night is happening in the main conference room right now. Chen felt a headache coming on. Please tell me they're at least playing something diplomatic. Mario Kart tournament, ma'am. With Rainbow Road. Of course it is. Chen looked at the chaos unfolding on her security feeds. How long until the council arrives? About 10 minutes. And Commander? The Kiri delegation is already here. They're watching. On the security feed, Chen could see several crystalline beings vibrating in what their cultural database identified as astonished terror as they watched humans enthusiastically throwing virtual shells at each other while shouting good-natured threats. They simulate high-speed combat while deliberately making their vehicles more difficult to control, one Kiri chimed in awe. Such mastery of chaos. Look how they smile while attacking their friends, another observed. The psychological complexity. Just then, Arya interrupted again. Commander, the Arxer military attaché is requesting immediate access to what they're calling our advanced combat simulation systems. I believe they mean the Nintendo Switch. Denied, Chen said automatically. The last thing we need is. But it was too late. The Arxer delegation had already entered the conference room, their expressions showing what passed for excitement in their species as they watched humans competitively racing on impossible tracks in space. This explains so much, the Arxer military leader exclaimed. This is how humans developed their legendary space combat capabilities. Actually, Rodriguez tried to explain, it's just a game. Look how they laugh in the face of certain doom. How they celebrate falling into the void. Such fearlessness. That's when Mr. Whiskers chose to make his entrance, sauntering into the conference room and jumping directly onto the Arxer leader's lap. The mighty warrior, known across 3 spiral arms for his fearlessness in battle, froze in place. The battle beast has chosen me, he whispered in awe. I am honored by its attention. Mr. Whiskers, unimpressed by the warrior's reputation, promptly fell asleep. And that's when the Galactic Council arrived. High Counselor Vixna, still a being of pure energy and now practically crackling with concern, took in the scene, humans engaged in simulated space combat, while laughing, a senior Arxer warrior sitting perfectly still to avoid disturbing a sleeping cat, and Dr. Blackwood drinking her coffee while maintaining what several species had now classified as aggressive eye contact. This, the High Counselor announced, is exactly what we were afraid of. I can explain, Chen started, but was cut off by a new arrival. Admiral Zhang's hologram materialized in the center of the room. Actually, the Admiral said with a slight smile, I believe it's time we came clean. A murmur ran through the assembled aliens. The truth is, Zhang continued, we're not the super predator species you think we are. We're not engaging in constant combat training or psychological warfare. We just like to have fun. Fun. The word rippled through the universal translators, causing confusion among the assembled species. Yes, fun. Those combat simulations you've been studying. They're games. We play them for enjoyment. The chemical warfare training you're so impressed by. We just like spicy food. And coffee? We just really like coffee. But, the battle beasts, the Arxer leader asked, still afraid to move as Mr. Whiskers continued his nap. Pets, Zena explained. We keep them because we love them. They're our companions, not weapons. Love? The translators struggled with the concept. You mean, you form emotional bonds with apex predators for pleasure? Pretty much, yeah. The council chamber erupted in chaos as various species tried to process this information. The Kiri were vibrating at frequencies that threatened to shatter nearby glasses. The Arxer looked like their entire worldview was being reassessed. The Xylaxian researchers were frantically updating their papers. But, High Counselor Vixna's form flickered in confusion. If you're not the terrifying warrior species we thought you were, how do you explain your remarkable adaptability? Your resilience. Your ability to thrive in almost any condition. Chen stepped forward. Because we don't take ourselves too seriously. We laugh. We play. We make mistakes and learn from them. We fall down 7 times and get up 8. Not because we're training for war, but because that's just who we are. Also coffee, Zena added. Coffee helps a lot. There was a long moment of silence, broken only by Mr. Whisker's contented purring. Finally, the High Counselor spoke again. So you're telling us that humanity's greatest strength isn't your supposed warrior nature or your chemical resistance or your psychological warfare capabilities? Nope, Chen replied. Our greatest strength is that we can find joy in almost anything. Even in being completely misunderstood by an entire galaxy. I see. The High Counselor's form shifted thoughtfully. And all those technology trades we've made. Oh, those are still valid, Admiral Zhang cut in quickly. We'll happily trade you our coffee and hot sauce recipes. And you can study our cats all you want, just don't expect them to follow military commands. They don't even listen to us. As if to prove the point, Mr. Whiskers chose that moment to wake up, stretch, and knock over the Arxer leader's ceremonial weapon before sauntering away. Remarkable, the Arxer leader whispered, watching the cat leave. They truly cannot be controlled. So, Chen addressed the council, what's your verdict? Is humanity still too dangerous to join the galactic community? High Counselor Vixna's form pulsed with what might have been laughter. Commander, I think we're just beginning to understand how dangerous you really are. A species that can find joy in chaos, that treats apex predators like babies, that deliberately seeks out new ways to challenge itself not for warfare but for fun. That might be the most terrifying thing we've encountered yet. Does that mean we're in? It means, the High Counselor replied, that the galaxy just got a lot more interesting. Also, before we make our final decision, what exactly is this Mario Kart and why does it involve throwing shells at your friends? And that's how humanity finally found its place in the galactic community. Not as the terrifying warrior species everyone thought they were, but as something far more interesting, a species that could turn anything into a game, find humor in the darkest moments, and somehow make friends with apex predators. The technology trades continued, though now they were more about cultural exchange than perceived military secrets. The Arxer did eventually get their Mario Kart tournament, they were surprisingly good at Rainbow Road. The Curie discovered that human music wasn't sonic warfare after all, though they still insisted on wearing protective gear during karaoke nights. And Mr. Whiskers? He became the unofficial mascot of interstellar diplomacy, regularly interrupting important meetings by knocking things off high surfaces. As for Dr. Zena Blackwood, she finally got her coffee privileges fully restored, though the Xylaxian researchers continued to study her caffeine consumption patterns, just in case. Her infamous laugh became something of a legend in diplomatic circles, and she was regularly invited to give lectures on human cognitive resilience through chemical stimulation, though she just talked about her favorite coffee shops. Commander Chen kept her position at First Contact Station Epsilon, dealing with an ever-increasing number of alien species who came to study humanity's unique approach to existence. She even started keeping a collection of the most amusing misconceptions about human behavior, which eventually became a best-selling book across 3 spiral arms, Humanity, A Guide to the Galaxy's Most Misunderstood Species. And every now and then, when things got too serious in the station, someone would challenge the Arxer warriors to a game of Just Dance. Because if humanity had learned anything from this whole experience, it was that sometimes the best diplomacy happens when you stop trying to be diplomatic and just show people who you really are, even if who you are is a species that thinks throwing blue shells at your friends is a perfectly normal way to spend an evening. The end.